This is the guts of a European double-ended metal halide fixture. Specifically, it's a WSB branded, but it's one of these cheapy Chinesium things. Cast, I'm guessing pot metal housing. And inside there's a 3-wire igniter, but it's different from the kind of 3-wire igniters we use over here. A power factor correction capacitor and a choke ballast. You can see the wiring diagram that's printed on the igniter. It doesn't have a ballast tap the way that American ballasts do, like this one. You can see that there's a third wire coming off of the choke winding that's tapped off, goes into the igniter, and then the other two connections are to the common and the lamp output. This being a what's known as an HX, or high leakage reactance, auto transformer ballast. Because you can see that the potential supply auto transformer is directly connected to the choke. With a peak lead or constant power auto transformer ballast, the capacitor would be wired in series with that connection there, and there'd be 2 extra wires coming out of the ballast to connect to the capacitor. Or for lamps which didn't require igniters, so high pressure mercury and probe start metal halide, the capacitor would be connected in series with the lamp there because there wouldn't be an igniter. So yeah, overall fairly simple, although it shows European wiring practices, even though this is almost certainly a Chinesium fixture, is that almost all the wires are white. And over here that's not really a thing, as long as, you know, the wires are completely unmarked, which none of these are. You can see this ballast, most of the wires are white, but they're all marked with what they do. So things like the igniter tap there, this is the 277 volt input because this is a quad tap, 120, 208, 240 or 277 volt ballast. Here's the lamp wire there. So even though the wires are all white, they're all marked with what they do, and a lot of ballasts aren't like this. Each wire can be a different color. So yeah, overall, quite simple internally. And based on operating current of this fixture, because it's 150 watt, it would still have a fairly lagging power factor with this 12 microfarad capacitor. Because this is the other fixture which I just did a video on. This is 70 watt, quote unquote. And capacitor was damaged in shipping, so I replaced it with a 10 microfarad capacitor. Originally it also had a 12. And it had about a 98% power factor running on 220 volts at 50 cycles per second. So this capacitor does do something, although it really kind of serves as much for EMI suppression, and also this provides a shunting path for current spikes from the action of the igniter, so that way those spikes don't really carry on to other stuff on the line, and especially in the case of electronic anything, ballasts, electrical equipment, what have you, possibly damage it. So the capacitor is really doing kind of triple duty. Power factor correction is only part of it. And as an example of a ballast which is color coded, and see these two wires which are what go out to the lamp, which is the red, the igniter, which is blue, that's quite common. These black with the white stripe wires, these are the wires that go to the capacitor, because this is a constant power auto transformer ballast. And then coming out of the auto transformer part of it, because the way that these ballasts work is there's an auto transformer which produces the needed open circuit potential for the choke part of it, or the choke part of the ballast, and then there's the actual choke. Although, of course, this being a constant power auto transformer ballast, this choke is used more for waveform forming, and the actual ballasting impedance is provided by the capacitor. I've gone over that in previous videos. But you see the colors of all the various input wires. The common wires are It's kind of white, off-whitish color. Orange is 120 volts. Purple is 208 volts. Tan is 240 volts. And this unstriped black wire is 277 volts. And this is actually quite a common color code for certain manufacturers. So if you come across one of these ballasts and the label is somewhat damaged, but it has this particular color code, now you know what it is.